Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing good during COVID times, wherever you are. Today, Mansi and I, who are representing Galbos In. So, Galbos In is a volunteer led initiative which is focused on helping young women make mindful career and life decisions by having meaningful conversations. And we are starting a new series called Real Women, Real Stories. And for that, today we have with us Shweta. Shweta is an associate director with Elanco, which is the third largest company into animal health care. She holds a degree in biotechnology and is a graduate from IIM Ahmedabad. She has over 10 years of rich experience in corporate. So I have known her for quite some time, and I know that she is a great motivator and the first generation girl to step out from her hometown to pursue her dreams and come out with flying colors.
Thank you, Sonu, for that really humbling and warm welcome. I am very, very excited to be here with you and Mansi for this discussion, for this talk on Real Women, Real Stories.
Thanks. We are equally excited to have you. So the theme for this week is resilience, and we have a rapid fire round, and I will give it over to Mansi to take it forward.
I'm so glad you decided to join us. So let's get started with the rapid fire round. I'll name a word and you can tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word.
Sounds good.
So let's get started. Yeah. Okay. Strength.
Mental strength.
Pain.
Heartbreak.
Woman.
Poise.
Hard work.
Overrated.
And your favorite movie with a woman lead?
I think it's a documentary called Becoming, which is around Michelle Obama.
Okay, and of course, resilience.
Resilience for me is grit.
Okay, and the last one, Galbos In.
A high energy, exciting place to be in.
That was amazing.
Great. Starting the conversation, Shweta, I would like to know what, according to you, it means resilience. So you said grit, right? So what have been your experiences where you manifested resilience? We would like to know more about your story here.
Okay. So to be fair, failure is something that happens to us at different points in time. Some have tasted it early and some maybe experience it later in life. I used to be a straight A student. Okay. As far as I remember, from I think the 5th standard to till my 12th standard, right? I made sure I was always amongst the top 3 students in my class, always had great grades and so on and so forth. The story which a lot of people don't really know is that when I was in the 4th standard, right, I actually failed in 3 subjects. Okay. And it broke my heart. It did not break my heart because I had bad grades, right? It broke my heart because I could see my parents were concerned. Okay. And when you are that young and when you can see your parents are worried for you, that is a very heartbreaking feeling because they obviously mean a lot to us, right? And that's when I decided, okay, what has happened has happened. I now need to change my story, right? And that is when I decided to re-look at what I thought was hard work, re-look at what I thought was failure, right? And change my story from there. I was able to do that from the next year onwards. And the switch, to be fair, to a lot of people looks like this. It doesn't always happen that way. The reason why it changed for me is because I realized that everybody around in my class is actually doing hard work. Okay, and hard work in whatever definition they think is hard work. The value that I can add to make sure I am differentiated from them is really understand what I am learning about. So for a lot of people, grades used to mean you have to learn up everything and make sure all of it is converted into your answers. In my school days, I have never written an answer that is exactly what my teacher gave me. I always made sure that I understood what I was reading, understood what I was writing, and then wrote it the way it made sense to me. And I realized when I started doing that, I had a better connect with what I was studying. So I studied from then on, not for grades, but I studied because it made me learn new things. If I read literature, it took me to places outside the bubble I stayed in. If I studied maths and I studied science, it's because it made logical sense in my head, right? And if I did not make logical sense in my head, I would stand up and ask questions till the time it made sense to me. I don't care if everybody thought I was annoying. I did not care about the fact that people thought I asked too many questions. It doesn't matter. Till the time it doesn't make sense to my head, I will keep asking. And that is where I discovered that was my first brush with resilience, realizing that when you fail, it means that you have a point in your life where you can restart your story and you decide how you want that story to play out. So that was my first brush with resilience. And then over the years, I have had more experiences with failing. And to be fair, I realized failure in itself is such a broad term. What does failure mean? Failure means I had a certain expectation of what is going to happen, and it did not happen that way. So that doesn't mean I failed. It just means I need to relook at how I did things. So for example, when all of us were young and we were trying to learn how to walk, okay, we used to keep falling. That is not failure, right? The thing is, I was trying to walk, I fell down, I have new data on what I could do better, and I do it better the next time. That's how all of us learned how to walk. The same is true for what we want to do in our life. I try something, it does not work out. I have learned what did not work, and I can change it the next time. And that's how you build resilience in yourself. I have had multiple failures in my life. Each of them felt shittier than the last. Okay. But I also realized that every time I felt like shit at that point in time, I had a chance to relook at what I did. Okay. See what I need to change. And if it really means something to me, I will make that change the next attempt. So that's my take on resilience.
I mean, so we have always heard of that story, right? That of that spider and that king, right? So you don't give up. You keep trying till the time you actually accomplish what you really want to. And hearing about your story and seeing your first face off with with failure when you were in fourth standard, and then realization mostly that you want to learn more than just mugging up things and have make more logical sense of what you're doing. I mean, it's really good to know that, because not a lot of us will make that realization at such an early age. But Shweta, I would also like to know more about, you being the first gen women lady of your family to move out of your house. So how has that all that experience been like? How was it for you to take a stand that yes, this is really something that I want to do? How was it when it came to convincing your family about your dreams and you having your own set of expectations from yourself? How did you go about it?
So I think, okay, so I'll tell you a story again when I was, I think, 6, 7 years old. Okay. So we had a school assignment to write about my role model. Okay. And like at that age, you're trying to figure out what role model means and who do you write about and so on. So I was asking everybody around me, what should I write about? So somebody said, write about your father, write about your mother, write about people around me, right? And at that point in time, I paused and said, do I really want to become like my father? Or do I really want to become like my mother? Okay. And so on. And I asked this question for every single person who was suggested. And I realized that I don't. I mean, I love my parents. Okay. And they have led I think, an amazing life. But I am not them. Okay. I had dreams that were different from what they believed a girl's dreams should be. Okay. And to be fair, as you said, I'm a first generation girl to step out, but that actually means that every girl in my family, okay, either never had a chance to study. Okay. Most of my extended family actually stays in villages even today. A lot of them did not get a chance to study. The ones who did get a chance to study got married by the time they turned 18. Okay. And I realized that is not a life I want to lead. Okay. So the fact that nobody around me is leading the life that I want means I have a chance to actually show people that a different option is possible. There is a possibility to lead a life that is beyond getting married, having kids, and so on and so forth, that everybody around you is trying to do. Right? And I said, if I don't have a role model, I'll become a role model. No big deal. I am my own role model. So you remember there was this movie called Jab We Met, which had Kareena, who used to keep saying, "Main apni favorite hu." Okay, it was sort of something like that. Okay, I really like myself. Okay, and I'm not being narcissistic here, but I really like myself, because if I don't like myself, why would somebody else like me? Right? So if I am not
Right.
proud of myself, why should somebody else be proud of me? And if I can't be a role model for myself, why would other people think I am a role model for them? And that's where it all started. That if I can't find something around me, let me be what I want to be. And as I said, after the story, I had that failure of not being where I wanted to be and so on, and it changed. So all of these different things have added up over time. My parents are fabulous people. Okay. To be fair, as I said, most girls in my family around my age never really studied. Okay. They were first generation people to actually move out from a village and stay in a tier 1 city. Okay. And they gave me an opportunity to go to school. So every time we would have summer vacations and I would go back to my extended family, I would realize the privilege that I have, a privilege that other girls my age did not have. Okay. I also realized there was a huge gap between what I was studying and between what other girls were studying in the school in villages. And I realized, if I waste this opportunity that I have, if I waste this privilege that I am getting, I am not doing right. Okay. And that pushed me to aspire for bigger things. So so basically that's where it started. And I realized that the best way to demonstrate that I am somebody who is capable of leading a life on my own terms is first by demonstrating capability, right? And maturity. So for example, our parents, when we are with our parents, they keep us in a bubble of safety, security, and love, where they protect us from anything untoward that may be happening outside in the world, right? And I think I was in 10th standard or 11th standard where I realized that I need to get out of this bubble if I really wanted to create my own identity. If I want to be able to think for myself, if I want to make my own decisions in my life, I have to show my parents I'm somebody who's capable of doing that. So after the 12th standard, I had a conversation with my parents, a heart-to-heart conversations where I cried, they cried. Okay. And there was some amount of emotional blackmail and all of that stuff happened. But basically, I told them that I really want to go out of the city, go somewhere else that they are comfortable with, and get to understand what is it I want in life. To be fair, at the end of 12th standard, I had taken up science. I had no idea what I wanted to be. Okay. All that I knew at that point in time is I did not want to be a doctor. I knew I did not want to be an engineer. I knew I did not want to be any of the traditional professions that everybody around me was following, but I did not know what I want. Okay. I knew I liked biotechnology. And that's how I ended up finding a biotechnology course in a city, which my parents would be comfortable with, but which would still be far away from them so that I can figure out what I want. Okay. So my graduation journey was basically a journey to figure out what I want in my life, and then take it ahead from there. During my graduate 3 years course, I realized that I did not want to do R&D. Okay, because it requires a lot of patience, and I am not somebody who has a lot of patience. Okay, so I said, okay, I can't do the R&D piece of it. What can I do? So I said, okay, let's get to the business side of it, and that's how the MBA happened. Okay. Part of the reason why the MBA happened is also because a lot of girls in my graduate class were getting married. Okay. They were all around 20, 21 years of age. Everybody was getting married. And that scared me. Because I was like, I am not old enough to get married. I am not old enough to know shit about managing relationships and, taking care of in-laws and all of that stuff. So I didn't want to get married at 21. So I said, okay, I need to get through to a place which will allow me to figure my life out, which will also make it hard for my parents to get me married off. Okay. So, and that's where it all started. Okay, so I ended up appearing for CAT examinations. So the examination went okay, and so on. I ended up at IIM Ahmedabad, did 2 years of my college there, and I realized after that degree, it will be very, very hard for my parents to find a groom for me. So I had at least 3-4 years of my life to me, which I can decide how I wanted to live, and I can shape it the way I want. I can have financial freedom. I can do things that mean things to me, and so on. So that's how I made my life decisions, right? And what I realized doing all of these things is, it is okay if you don't know what you want. You will figure it out, but you need time for that. So make sure that whatever step you decide for yourself for the next few years, at least help you get that time. Don't look 10 years down the line, this is what I want to be, if you don't know right now. You can figure out what is my next step. Take that next step and let that next step point you to the next step. It is not necessary to have all your answers.
That's amazing to know, especially, when you spoke about not having a role model around and how you chose to be your own role model. I mean, I'm sure if a lot of us think that way, we'll have more women leaders around. I'm sure about it. I mean, all of us look for somebody around us, and based on that, we decide our benchmark or where we want to be. But there are very few people who really redefine their benchmark and think of setting a new benchmark altogether. So I think that, and when you spoke about it, I think I really had goosebumps, and I was like, wow, I mean, we need to learn this. A lot of women need to know about this and need to hear this. And, learning about your story, starting from, your resilience, or how you manifested resilience, starting from 4th standard to your 12th standard story, that emotional thing that happened between you and your family. I'm sure you have motivated and inspired a lot of us already with
I
your story.
agree.
There's a lot of, yeah.
So I'll also share another secret. See, the good thing about being your own benchmark is that you don't need to be perfect. Okay, because it is you, right? You don't need to be the perfect, the perfect girl, the perfect woman. You don't need to be anything. You can be who you are, and you can keep changing that over time, because that's how you will evolve as a person. So having no benchmarks is great in that sense, because then you don't have anybody to be compared with.
Absolutely, and that saves us with a lot of comparison and that emotional ups and downs, and that mental harassment which keeps which a lot of us keep comparing ourselves with. So I think Mansi has a question for you about something
Yeah.
that you would like.
So as we can tell, you had a really young start to your journey on resilience. But I would like to ask you, what advice would you give to the younger generation, to the younger women who are just starting out on their journey?
Okay, so one thing is, I'm not that old, so I'm so, but still, I think the one thing that I would like all girls to remember is to recognize that you are not what other people say. Okay, people really, really like categorizing us into boxes. Okay, and for them it is easy. So for example, they will put labels on you. They'll put labels like, oh, if you are not somebody who gets all A's, oh, you're not somebody who's meant to have a career. Or they'll say you are auntie type, or you are fat, you are thin. Everybody likes putting labels on you. Okay, the thing that you should remember is the label actually means nothing. The only label that matters to you is the one you put for yourself. Okay, so if you have failure at any point in time and somebody labels you as a failure, okay, first thing you should do is, the person in front of you probably doesn't know what failure means. Okay, you failed at a particular task. Okay, that means you may not have done well at one particular task. That doesn't make you a failure in life. Okay, if you failed an exam, there will be other exams in life. You failed one entrance test, there will be other entrance tests in life. It is honestly not a big deal. Okay, a lot of times we are doing things because we are trying to live up to expectations of our parents or of other people around us, right? The thing is, it is your life to lead. So don't let other people's expectations drive your life choices. You are honestly free to make your own life choices. It may not look like that way at that point in time. It may not even seem easy because you don't know what else can you do. Okay? And that is okay. If you don't know at one point in time, but you really want to find out, you will always find other people who are more than happy to share their story, their experiences. All that you need to do is reach out. So, for example, the work that all of us are doing at Gal Boston, it's exactly that. It's about giving a safe space for young women in schools and colleges to talk about things that they don't know about. The first thing that you need to do is accept, I don't know, but I would like to learn. And that's a great place to start. So don't live by other
Thank you.
people's expectations. Don't bother about labels that other people put on you. The only labels that matter are the ones you define for yourself. And the third thing is, whatever choices you make in your life, don't regret them. Live a life without regrets. You may make a wrong choice. You may have chosen the wrong boyfriend. You may have chosen the wrong course. You may have made a mistake, and that is okay. The reason why you made that choice was because it seemed like the best option at that point in time, right? So don't live a life with regret. You had an experience, it did not work out, that's fine. You learned something from it. Use that learning to build your next step. Okay? And that's how life is. Everybody, every single one of us, every single women leader you see out there in the world, every single woman who has actually lived their own life has actually done all of these three things. They have learned, they have failed, they have stood up and gone ahead again. Okay? There is enough support in the world if you ask for it. It's the same line from Harry Potter, right? The ones who ask for help will always get it. I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the line, sorry. But
Yeah.
it effectively means that you'll always find help when you need it. All that you need to do is ask.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's exactly as you said, we are trying to create that safe space for young women to help them. So thank you so much, Shweta. It was a great conversation with you, and I'm sure a lot of us have already got inspired and have got a lot of food for thought from this conversation. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us.
you.
Lovely talking to you and Mansi. Thank you so much for doing this.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care and best of luck.